Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about Amazing Spider-Man issue 800 and 801. It's actually the end of Dan Slott's run. He had been doing Spider-Man for a real long time, and this is now the culmination of everything that he had worked on. Here we have Spider-Man having to deal with the Red Goblin. So this iteration of Norman Osborn was pretty interesting, where he was using the Carnage symbiote. We had a pretty interesting back and forth between Norman and the symbiote itself. He was using it in new and different ways. He had also found a way to make it immune to fire, while the Carnage symbiote was making him more evil and unhinged. It was a pretty cool one-off situation with Norman Osborn, even though there was quite a bit of evolution to this point to the Red Goblin. Because the interesting thing with Norman Osborn, that over the years he had taken up different costume personas. He had become the Iron Patriot for a while, then after that, a very terrible version of the Super Adaptoid. Then further down the line, Norman Osborn actually changed his own identity and face and became the owner of this new company called Algamax. Also, for a while, Norman Osborn started to take up more and more different identities. In a very odd way, he sort of became like a chameleon type character. But now he's enacting his ultimate vengeance against Spider-Man as the Red Goblin. So what happens in this story is that he starts systematically going after all of Spider-Man's loved ones. And in every single case, Spider-Man or one of his allies are able to stop him. But each time he's able to hit his victim with a series of small red splinters that cannot be removed. And what happens in the story is Norman actually can remotely control these splinters to dig into the victim's body at any moment, kill them on the spot. So he's going to use this as leverage in this story. So first we see Red Goblin going after Mary Jane, and he's stopped by Venom. During this time, Venom was Eddie Brock, and he's having a real hard time with Red Goblin. Fire is a big part of his arsenal, and honestly, the original Venom symbiote is very sensitive to fire. Spider-Man has to jump in and save the day, and Red Goblin actually leaves. He doesn't want his final battle with Spidey yet. So Eddie Brock is pretty messed up after this first confrontation, and what he does is actually give the Venom symbiote to Spider-Man to see if this gives him an upper hand in taking down the Red Goblin. And it's really cool to see Peter back with the original Venom symbiote. And I'm not sure if he ever used the Venom symbiote ever since he got rid of it back in the late 80s. I feel like they could have done a dedicated issue to this whole situation of Spider-Man reacquainting himself with the Venom symbiote. After all these years, I feel this was a wasted opportunity. Then what happens is the Red Goblin almost kills Superior Octopus. That I have to say that the design to the Superior Octopus is so freaking awesome. I also have to mention that Norman Osborn's grandson is infected with the Carnage symbiote too. He's like his little evil minion. And that's all kinds of messed up, having a grandfather use his grandson, which is a very little kid, to do his dirty work. And obviously Normie is completely deranged and under the control of the Carnage symbiote. But further down the line, Normie is actually going to keep part of the Carnage symbiote, and he's going to call it Rascal, and he's not going to be evil anymore, and he's going to try to be a hero. It's a pretty interesting evolution for this character. The thing is that when Norman Osborn moves in and tries to kill Harry, Normie sort of snaps out of this whole mind control thing and steps in to try to save his father. So Spider-Man finds out about this whole situation of these splinters that are part of the Carnage symbiote, that Norman at any moment can kill Mary Jane, the Superior Octopus, Silk and Aunt May. It feels very contrived, this whole situation, but I guess he's using this as leverage. And what happens is Anti-Venom, who during this time was Flash Thompson, steps in. He saves the lives of all these characters. Red Goblin realizes the situation. He swoops in. He attacks Anti-Venom. He is tremendously weakened after curing all these people. And surprisingly, Red Goblin ends up killing Flash Thompson. Don't worry, his death doesn't stick for more than 2 or 3 years. He reemerges in the King of Black crossover. And here we have a pretty interesting moment where Spider-Man's rage starts getting the best of him and the symbiote starts taking control. So we get the final confrontation between the Red Goblin and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man actually tricks Norman Osborn into ditching the Carnage symbiote. They're going to go old school and start punching the crap out of each other. Also, obviously, Spider-Man ditches the Venom symbiote. So obviously Spider-Man's able to get the upper hand, and even at one moment in the story he saves Norman's life because J. Jonah Jameson, who wanted to take vengeance on Norman Osborn, tried to shoot him, and Spider-Man literally takes a bullet to save his worst enemy. But Peter really wanted to save J. Jonah Jameson from the fact that he would have to deal with the guilt that he had killed a person, no matter how evil that person was. So Spidey is able to save the day, and the interesting thing is that obviously Norman Osborn goes to prison. And the weird thing is that even though Norman doesn't have the Carnage symbiote anymore, for some reason Cletus Cassidy's persona has taken over Norman's body. And this is going to play a pretty important role in Donny Cates' Carnage crossover further down the line. But I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.